Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Harakakadash, the one to see apostles and elders, great most in the real world, and Shalom to the brothers doing the wax centering truth. Yeah, I got this article on Reuters going into, you got, what's her name? The vice president, what's her name? Kamala Harris, visiting, Taiwan, and this is becoming, it's continuing all the tension around Taiwan, which is kind of linked up because obviously China and Russia linked up. Russia's desire has been Ukraine, and China's desire is obviously Taiwan, but Taiwan's got more like strategic. Would that be the word? Taiwan's what's it called? The shit they produce is much more meaningful on a global scale. So I don't think it will be as easy. Well, I say as easy. It won't. It'll be more remarked upon. People will be more involved than with Ukraine. Where Ukraine, managed sending what's it called? Not supplies. Well, I guess it would be. They're just sending like military planes, missile systems, weaponry and whatnot. But they ain't sending boots on the ground. They ain't, they're not sending the Air Force to set up a no-fly zone or anything like that. So, we'll see to the scale that it gets to. But obviously, with what's been said, it's said to defend it. So let's see how it shakes down. But again, this is something else that would hit the global market, because that would be a lot of tech's already been shaky. What do you call it? It's been overinflated in the markets anyway. So it's been dropping, but then again, like if tech, like if Taiwan gets hit, that's gonna shake up the global economy again, to where that Karagma will be looking even more enticing. So, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris condemned on Wednesday disturbing actions by China in the Pacific, while pledging to deepen unofficial ties with Taiwan. Days after the U.S. administration pledged its forces would defend the island. Yeah, so they said they'll defend it. So you could have having a more direct confrontation. It says Harris made her remarks on the deck of the USS Howard destroyer during a visit to the largest overseas U.S. Navy installation in the world at Yokosuka near the Japanese capital. China is undermining key elements of the international rules-based order, says Harris, who was on a 4-day trip to Asia. China has flexed its military and economic might to coerce and intimidate its neighbors. We have witnessed disturbing behavior in the East China Sea and the South China Sea, and most recently provocations across the Taiwan Strait. Yeah, China's been, securing the surrounding more or less. But then again, it's like Taiwan is like a big hub for trade, big hub for technology. So it's if China gets that, then the reliance, that everyone has globally on it is going to be even higher. Hey, so there's more reason for conflict to occur. It says the remarks of American sailors wearing dress whites come after U.S. President Joe Biden pledged in an interview aired on September 18th to defend the Chinese claimed island of Taiwan against an unprecedented attack. The U.S. subscribes to a one China policy that formally recognizes only Beijing, but binds the U.S. government to provide democratically ruled Taiwan with the means to defend itself. China says Taiwan is one of its provinces, has long vowed to bring Taiwan under its control, and has ruled out the use of force to do so. Taiwan's government strongly objects to China's sovereignty claims and says only the island's 23 million people can decide its future. Yeah, so it's basically just going to be like with Hong Kong, where they're basically, they got separated. The funny thing with I think Taiwan got separated after World War II, because I think when China was annexed by Japan, I think there was two separate military groups, and then they kind of split off to where one of them, fled to Taiwan and then just kind of established. They wanted it to be run democratically rather than communist. So, mainland China's got communist China, and then Taiwan's the democratic corner. But it's like China's essentially rebounded completely from when they were, getting fucked during World War II. So obviously they're looking to, bring everything back. It was like Hong Kong that got grabbed. There was, the deal was made to give it back to China. But Taiwan's really meant to be a separate, separate entity. But, what the hell can you do, man? Man are your back door. Man are literally behind you. But we'll see what shakes down from it anyway. U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan in August, infuriating China, which then carried out its largest ever military exercises around the island. Yeah, so they've been doing from months back. What was it? Exercises for a beat like because obviously Taiwan's an island, so approaching from water, onto the basically raiding the island. They've been practicing, so essentially showing like, look, man, we'll do this, and hey, we'll see. We'll see how it shakes down. Continued. Okay. So it says Harris said U.S. forces will operate in the region undaunted and unafraid, even as the U.S. expects continued aggressive actions by China. We'll continue to impose any unilateral change to the status quo, she said, and will continue to support Taiwan's self-defense, consistent with our long-standing policy. Taiwan is a vibrant democracy that contributes to the global good, from technology to health and beyond, and the United States will continue to deepen our unofficial ties. Yeah, so like I mentioned, technology, that's the key one, because that's the relationship it has with most countries around the world. So it's like, hey, trying to get to that peak. Wang Wenbin, a spokesman of the Chinese Foreign Ministry, told a regular media briefing that the United States needed to return to the One China policy and unequivocally make clear that it opposes all Taiwan's separatist activities. Harris's trip to Japan, Washington's closest regional ally, was meant to reassure allies and deter any escalation. Aide said Harris would work on a unified approach in a region where leaders have warily watched rising tension between the US and China. Yeah. So, it's, shit was meant to be cooled down. But, surprise, surprise, it's heating up. Because why? It's that year, man. It's that time. Your house turning up. That's what you had. You had, like, the war in... It's funny because, the war in Ukraine, the shit was meant to be, like, a 2 weeks, a 3-day war. Now the shit's, Russia's doing the so-called votes, to recognize the regions it's conquered as like independent or Russian allies or something. Anyway, they're being annexed. So the shit's not even gonna be as mild as it seems. And then that kind of just gives them ground to then expand out further from when they go to, to what's the word? Not continue. To basically continue their invasion. But again, it's like, America's a key one. Read this. Psalms 10 and 2. It says, "The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor, let them be taken in the devices they have imagined. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Most High abhorreth. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his faults." Yeah, that's really how it is. Because as far as for Esau, he's looking to establish his, his rule, his system, his kingdom. He's basically looking to have it rocking for all time. But there's a fatal flaw with that. Well, Yahweh Shem Yahshua has to be with you, essentially. And for the present time, this place is being maintained because it's got a role to serve. The wicked was made for the day of evil. Once that day of evil rocks out, all Esau's established, ain't going to be nothing. All that so-called might of America, that seems untouchable, is going to become, it's going to wither away and cease to be. Judgment's far above that of his son. Okay. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his faults. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. And yeah, Esau's got that pride. He's basically because of the blessing he got, the sword, being able to rule by force, military force, and that's how he established himself. That's how he maintains power. He's filled up with that pride, man. He's looking like, yo, you guys can't rock. Meanwhile, that same sword, that's been spread to everyone else. Them nuclear missiles. Got man like fucking, North Korea, Pakistan rocking with them, Iran rocking with them. So that that height Esau was once at, and now it's become normalized. Now everyone's in the same boat. And that's why, Revelation 17, them hating the horn burner with fire, you can see it coming to pass real easy. Puff at them. He said in his heart, I shall not be moved, and I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing, deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. And this thing, yeah, Esau's all about pushing his pride, establishing himself. Him having set up his own, systems for how the world's meant to run. And then, forcing everyone to comply. But all that's going to be, it's going to be done away with completely. The kingdom of heaven's going to be established. Yahushua is going to return. And then what? We'll be dealing with the laws, man. The whole world's going to be. It's like if you ain't dealing with it, you're gonna get that drought. You're going to get that punishment. Habakkuk 2 and 4 says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell." Yeah, he's got Eve going out, basically establishing that reputation which they've had for the longest, being that proud man. It desire and who enlargeth his desire at hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parallel against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Yeah, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. And how long? Because as far as it's really a how long. All these nations are basically looking like, yo, this guy's been able to do all that he wants. This guy was going around all these different Edomite nations annexing the world, putting everyone in subjection, taking all their goods. Then afterwards he's like, we set you free with the good guys. And now is, everything he established for himself. Everything he took, You know, you're gonna go into his museums. Man's gonna have dainties and goods from all the nations over Earth. Because why? He went there and nabbed them up. All these nations are really saying what? How long? Because they're looking to get their revenge when they're looking to be revenged. And that's what Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is looking to do. For what? The controversy of Israel, man. So this is what? Shall not they rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Yeah. Those who seemed, like nobodies, like nothings. They were going around calling everyone savages. Those same savages now, of spirits had them get the same level of what's the term? Military capability as what Esau once had. And know what? Says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. That's how it's going to be. All these nations are going to flip it. Because why? Because how Esau gained all this shit. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yahweh Shem Shabbat Shem Kakadash Shalom.